Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to look at the Mighty Marvel calendars published between 1975 and 1981. These were created in-house by the Marvel Bullpen, and they're definitely better than your average, like if they license these out to a publisher. They put a lot of thought and care into this. All the art, almost all the art, is newly commissioned for each calendar. So there's a lot of unseen stuff in here that most of it's never been reprinted. And some of them are gems. It's a goddamn shame they haven't been reprinted. And also they just add lots of like fun little things in here, which we shall see. The first one, 1975, we got a cover by John Romita. Not his best work. It looks like he was a little rushed. A lot of the art in here, it does look a little rushed. I think they were always on a tight deadline for these. We got some clip art, just doing some goofy gags, and an intro page. So let's start with January 1975. We got Spider-Man by John Romita. As you can see, the paper and the printing is a lot better than even a comic book cover, so they could be more like painterly and stuff. But look what the artist did here, the colorist. I think they were trying to give Mary Jane rosy cheeks, but it just looks like she has a horrible whitehead on her cheek. That's just disgusting. But we do see a nice portraits of all of the Spider-Man cast. I like this J. Jonah glaring up at Spider-Man. Also, we just see the, John Romita was so good at just like capturing that perfect pose, especially for Spider-Man. That just looks great. So this is the fun of these this calendar. Most calendars will just have white spaces and then, a few holidays. But they cram this with all kinds of different information. We got quotes from the comics. We have birthdays of artists and Marvel staff. We got Don Heck's birthday here. But it's also all kind of goofy. So it says, happy birthday, Don Heck, yesterday. This one's weird. Happy New Year, Steve Ditko, wherever you are. Because nobody knows Steve Ditko's birthday. He's such a recluse. He never talked about himself. So I really think they just didn't know what his birthday was. Nope, it's not Stan Lee's birthday, but Sal Buscema forgot to send us a photo. Just silly stuff like that. And then we see lots of basically the history of Spider-Man. Little milestones, Spider-Man #1 goes on sale. J. Jonah Jameson, Betty Brant. I like this. The 14th, Aunt May's first heart attack. The 22nd, Aunt May's 100th heart attack. And because it's the 70s, we even have astrological information, Aquarius. And they always show like an appropriate character. So Aquarius, the water sign, it's Prince Namor. There's also some cultural stuff. Spidey at Carnegie Hall, 1972. Spider-Man on Buddha Records. I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but I have a video up, Sleeves to Astonish, Part 1. It shows comic books and records, comic book art. And we show this off, and it's got really nice John Romita art. So check that out if you're interested. It's a pretty interesting, weird album. So just lots of fun stuff. And, when I was a kid, I didn't have fanzines. I didn't have books about comics. This was really fascinating to me, like finding out all this little trivia about the Marvel Universe. A lot of the characters I didn't know. I'd be like, who's this guy? So pretty fun. Doctor Strange and the Defenders by Frank Brunner. Really nice Frank Brunner art, but these insets obviously are not Frank Brunner. I don't know who they are, but look at Nighthawk. He's got Humpty Hump's nose. It's ridiculous looking. I like this Hulk, though. Very feral. It's crazy looking. I don't know. Maybe there's a Sal Buscema. But the Frank Brunner is gorgeous, as he is want to be. And so now we get all these things about Doctor Strange. Some of his villains. More birthdays, of course. Pisces is Triton from the Inhumans, because he's a fish guy. Of course, we also get holidays too, you know, St. Valentine's Day, George Washington's birthday. Lincoln's birthday, Hulk has this beard on. 4 score and 7 equals 47. This is weird. So we got Luke Cage Power Man. And this is by Dave Cockrum, pencils, John Romita inks. Pretty dynamic art there. I love how he's just coming out at you. I mean, if that was a comic book cover, you'd totally buy it. It's pretty great. Kind of interesting that Power Man was such a big seller that he'd have, you know, his own month right up there with Spider-Man and the Avengers and stuff. Like, some of these characters I still don't know. Lion Fang? Looks kind of cool, actually. I've never read a comic with Lion Fang. Apparently there's a character in Power Man called D.W. Griffith. That's odd. So this is one of the few that's not all original art. This is obviously like a paste up. You know, you can see probably this is the first cover appearance of the Vision from Avengers, I believe 58, maybe 57. This is by John Buscema and George Klein. Some of these, according to the internet, are Sal Buscema or John Romita. And I don't know, some of them could be just from other comics, you know, clipped out or drawn for this. I don't know. But this is obviously an old piece of art. So find a lot of Avengers members. For some reason, it's the guy from Crazy. I never knew that guy's name. Oh, guys, this is beautiful. Look at this. Barry Windsor-Smith doing Conan. And see, this is the kind of thing where it's like, why didn't you use this, Marvel? As a variant cover, as a poster. You own this art. It's just crazy. This is beautiful Barry Windsor-Smith stuff. I think Barry Windsor-Smith was leaving Conan at this time. He was probably wrapping up, you know, Red Nails. Probably one of the last Conans he ever drew. Thulsa Doom. Red Sonja, of course. And of course, look, it's Barry Smith's birthday. So I think they did that on purpose. It's kind of interesting. The next day is Herb Trimpe's birthday. Those guys were pals. They both lived near each other in upstate New York, and they worked on that Machine Man miniseries in the 80s. That pretty well-regarded miniseries. Here's the Fantastic Four by Rich Buckler. And who inks this? Oh, Joe Sinnott. This is pretty crappy. I'm sorry. Rich Buckler was kind of a hack. He was a consummate hack. Every now and then, like a broken clock, could do something good like Demon Hunter from Atlas Seaboard, but this is pretty not appealing. A nice John Romita Captain American Falcon. You can totally see why John Romita was like, you know, the artist for most of the licensing that Marvel did for merchandise, because he just drew such a perfect version of the superhero. Like, in fact, I think I've seen this on a thermos or a backpack or a t-shirt, you know? It's very classic, very clean. We got MODOK. And, oh, it's Mike Ploog's birthday on the 13th. August is a bunch of villains. Doesn't say on the internet who this is, but I think it's John Romita probably. Either poorly inked by someone or John Romita did a rush job like he did on the cover. Not the best John Romita. Look at the head on the vulture there. It looks like he's got an egg head. Kind of crude. Marie Severin shares a birthday with Ozma of Oz. I don't know how they know Ozma's birthday. I like Jack Kirby's birthday on the 28th. It's like this Kirby-esque birthday cake. Like, it looks like Kirby tech. Crazy Kirby technology. This is funny. It says Virgo, because I'm a Virgo. It says, many Virgo people are indifferent to love adventures. which is, I don't believe in astrology at all. I think it's dumb. And, but I have been asexual the past few years. So I am quite indifferent to love adventures. So maybe there's something to this astrology business after all. Who knows? Here we have Thor. Couldn't find out who it is, but I'm pretty sure it's Jack Kirby. But it looks like it's heavily inked Jack Kirby by someone. Like, look at that face. That's really like gussied up. But, and also this is just kind of, I don't know the word to describe it. Just like subdued Kirby. But I mean, look at this. This has got to be Kirby, right? This horse. I'm just curious who inked him. And more quotes, more birthdays, more info, more trivia. This is nice for Halloween, for October. They got Mike Ploog to draw a bunch of the monster characters from Marvel. And, Mike Ploog's perfect for that. That was most of his career at Marvel, was jumping from monster title to monster title. Really nice. This is pretty good stuff. I don't know if he ever drew Tomb of Dracula, though. I don't think he did. But just, I love the kind of destroying weird roots. And look at these branches, these delicate branches. It's so Mike Ploog. They even show us the cycles of the moon as an excuse to show Werewolf by Night reacting to the full moon. Ghost Rider. A nice Gil Kane, Frank Giacoa Daredevil. Love when Gil Kane draws Daredevil. That's pretty, just great posing there. Roy Thomas's birthday on the 22nd. The Man Bowl. Giant size Man Bowl. That's the comic I want. I like, too, they do kind of just zany design things like this. The Stilt Man, his leg is like traveling 2 weeks into the future. It's almost like Chutes and Ladders, They do a lot of fun things like that, sometimes bunching panels up. Oh, Jim Steranko, November 5th. That's his birthday. And we have the Incredible Hulk drawn by Sal Buscema. And it looks like the Incredible Hulk's totally pissing off Santa Claus. He looks very angry. I wouldn't make Santa Claus angry. You wouldn't like him when he's angry because you get coal in your stocking. I wonder who'd win in a fight. Santa Claus or the Hulk. It's also kind of nice. Some of these are actually new illustrations, and I'm pretty sure they're all by Marie Severin. Drawing kind of funny, silly little drawings here and there, making little jokes. Stan Lee, the 28th of December. Oh, look, it's the 70s, guys. An astrological disc. It not only has the sign, it has your birthstone, your flower, your colors, your lucky numbers, I guess, and parts of body. For mine, the parts of the body are intestines and nerves. But then this is kind of interesting. They have a contest, and basically you have to make up a superhero using all of these traits. So if you're Gemini, make up one that's, got all that stuff. So Marie Severin made up this gleaming gladiator, and he's got a ruby encrusted helmet, an oversized number 9 weapon. It's shaped like a 9, a strong back, a brave heart, and some orange and gold threads. So it works in all of the characteristics. And this is more of the stuff I liked. These are just milestones of Marvel history. First appearance of Ant-Man, Daredevil #1. So when I was a kid, this was valuable information. I was like, ooh. And then we just got pretty much clip art, back cover. Okay, next we have the special Mighty Marvel Bicentennial calendar, because it's 1976. And it's kind of silly. They have all the superheroes going back in time to fight the Revolutionary War. John Romita cover. Pretty classic. Introduction from Stan Lee. I think that's John Romita, a little drawing from John Romita. And the introductory page. And then, unfortunately, we start off with The Invaders by Frank Robbins and Frank Giacomo. I don't know if you guys read these in the 70s. I wanted to like The Invaders so much. The whole idea of these Golden Age heroes really intrigued me. But most of them were drawn by Frank Robbins. Frank Robbins was a great artist when he was a young man. He did Johnny Hazard, newspaper comic strip, very Milt Caniff inspired. But then I guess he kind of got old. I guess he needed money, and he started working for Marvel. And his stuff, I mean, this looks better than anything in those Invaders that I've seen. His art is like disgusting in those. I know that's a strong word. It's repulsive. Hey, as a kid, it turned me off. It's still just, I look at it and I'm just like, it's really just terrible. So maybe Frank Giacomo here is lessening the wretchedness of the art. But not a good way to start. See a bunch of Golden Age characters. Sal Buscema's birthday. And this time he remembered to send us a photo. Here we have The Incredible Hulk at Valley Forge by Herb Trimpe. And I'm not a big fan of Herb Trimpe, but I do admit that, like, his comics, nice storytelling. They just, for a goofy superhero comic, they read well. He's really good at just being a solid, mainstream comic book artist. But I kind of like this one, I gotta admit. I just like how chunky it is. And I don't know. Let's see if there's any... Oh, yeah, so Lincoln's birthday, it's Stan Lee dressed up as Lincoln, and he's dressed up as Washington for Washington's birthday. I like this one. This is Black Panther, penciled by Bob Brown, inks by Mike Esposito. Just love this body language here, the posing. That's pretty cool looking. And this is the time when Don McGregor was writing his, Panther's Rage. So almost all of these characters are Don McGregor characters. I guess Black Panther didn't have much history. He was just, he never had a solo comic. So it was up to Don McGregor to give him a whole cast of characters and history. Salamander Cruel. Don McGregor, man. He's definitely got a unique way of naming characters. Look at this. Conan the Barbarian leading the charge by Gil Kane. It's kind of silly. I don't think Conan would be helping the Americans. He'd be robbing them or taking gold from the British to kill us. Conan's not, doesn't really care about democracy and liberty. But it's a pretty nice image. Michelle Wolfman. She's a little cutie. Here we have Thor, penciled by John Buscema and inked by Frank Giacomo. Kind of an interesting idea. Of course, the god of thunder. He's summoning lightning so Ben Franklin can discover electricity. It's such a silly concept. I don't know if you guys were alive in 76, but man, the bicentennial was crazy popular. Like, every kid I knew was bicentennial crazy. Most of our bedrooms were decked out with bicentennial bed sheets and posters and shit. Our parents would buy us all this stuff. And it was kind of interesting because it wasn't like this, right wing, left wing, whatever, patriotic, not patriotic. Everyone was into it. It didn't matter who you were. Everyone was just like, hooray, it's our birthday. And it really was, it was kind of exciting. So it makes sense that even though this is a silly idea, but they were like, we got to do something for the bicentennial. Here's Spider-Man, and this is by Ross Andrew and Mike Esposito, the longtime team who did many issues of Spider-Man together. They were kind of like a bargain basement Romita. Look how cute George Perez is. He's so young. June 9th is his birthday. Let's see if there's anything else interesting. Don McGregor's birthday is June 15th. I'll celebrate that. Of course, for July, for Independence Day, we have Captain America by John Romita. Pretty nice. I could see that on a pillowcase. Ah, there's Frankie Okoa, who's inked many of these. And there's Mike Esposito. Fantastic Four, penciled and inked by Joe Sinnott. That's pretty rare. I don't think Joe Sinnott penciled anything since the 50s, since his Atlas days. But, yeah, looks pretty nice. Look at Jack Kirby trying to draw a pretty woman. He wasn't very good at that. Oh, Paul Gulacy's birthday, August 15th. I'll definitely celebrate that day. The Mad Thinker for Virgo. I guess Virgos are natural-born thinkers. Natural-born drinkers, more like it. September is just a bunch of rando Marvel characters who were, I guess, kind of popular at the time. Kind of an interesting snapshot of where Marvel was in the mid-70s, where superheroes were like half of the pie. Just so many random monster characters, kung fu characters, horror characters, Son of Satan, Shang-Chi, Ghost Rider, Luke Cage, Power Man, not really a superhero. So kind of different. The only two traditional superheroes are these two. This is by Sal Buscema. And true to form, it's not very good. This is interesting. A whole week dedicated to the new X-Men. This had probably just come out. So it wasn't a sensation at all. It wasn't the sales juggernaut that it would become. It was just a bunch of second stringers at Marvel. They're giving him a little shout out. Right up there with Iron Fist. And Nighthawk. This is nice. For October, we get Frank Brunner doing these monster characters at Marvel. And they're chasing Ichabod Crane. Gorgeous stuff. It looks like Frank Brunner's even trying to look a little Gene Colan-y for the Tomb of Dracula. And just that's a great Man Thing. Frank Brunner was so good. The Living Mummy. Oh, this is a nice one too. Jim Starlin, inked by Alan Weiss, doing the Silver Surfer. But, of course, Jim Starlin puts in his two favorite characters, the ones he worked on, his cosmic characters, Warlock and Captain Marvel. The Alan Weiss inks are really nice on this, really accentuate Jim Starlin. Look at the kind of like metallic finish he puts on Silver Surfer. All the musculature, it's inked really well. This is pretty sharp. I like the universe, the sky, the galaxy in the background. That's a good looking piece. There's a Jim Steranko. Look at Bill Mantlo. That's a terrible haircut. And for December, we end with a whimper. The Avengers by Jim Mooney, penciling and inking. This is just utter shit. This is like worse than like a fanzine artist from the 70s. Really bad stuff. I know people love Jim Mooney's Supergirl stories. I never really read them, but by the late 70s, mid to late 70s of Marvel, this stuff was crap. Here's the winner of the contest, the astrological thing. Capricorn by Joe Bengelli. He's got a garnet on his belt. His suit is red, so it fits all the criteria of that sign of Capricorn. And then here's some extra birthdays that they couldn't fit in with some clip art. like this collage on the back cover inside this eagle, because I'm like, can you imagine having that as a back tattoo? How fucking cool you'd be. You get so much respect from people. But it would have to be this kind of full color, which I don't even know if a tattoo artist could pull this off. But man, that would be pretty awesome. Okay, let's go to 1977. This cover has an interesting story. I read about it on the internet. I didn't know anything about it. So you'd never guess who penciled this. You might, but it's so like kind of covered up. It's Jack Kirby pencils this. Apparently, someone at Marvel, like John Romita, Marie Severin, they sent him a loose layout. Jack Kirby fully penciled it. It's on the internet if you want to see it. It looks pretty nice. It's nice Kirby pencils. And then John Romita heavily inked it. You know, John Romita definitely smoothed out all the rough edges on Jack Kirby. So, but then apparently this Howard the Duck, Jack Kirby had nothing to do with, because I'm pretty sure Jack Kirby couldn't draw a good, funny animal to save his life. I mean, I'd love those Destroyer Duck comics, but they're not good, funny animal art. You know, it's just not in his wheelhouse. But you could tell, but that position is very Jack Kirby. Pretty nice cover, though. We get another little Romita picture of all those characters from the cover. This one's called the Memory Album. Get that introductory page. And the reason why is because every month kind of celebrates a famous event in the Marvel Universe. The first battle with the Skrulls by the Fantastic Four. This is Jack Kirby and Joe Sinnott. Not so good. You know, Jack Kirby, this is his waning years. That's just sad. And the one thing I don't like about what happened to these calendars, at least this year, everything's random. So it'll be like the Black Knight made his debut in Avengers 48. Why is it on this page? Why is it on the Avengers page? And then it's like Man-Thing #1, which has nothing to do with the Fantastic Four. So it's more willy-nilly. I really liked how it did have a kind of a cohesiveness. Look at this, Robert E. Howard, born 1900. It's almost like he's an honorary Marvel writer. I mean, I guess he made more money for Marvel than anyone else. This one, I couldn't find the artist. It's obviously the Hulk and Submariner. I'm pretty sure it's John Romita, but well inked. I think this looks great. That's a really nice, a really good Hulk. And yeah, once again, it's just all willy-nilly. The Punisher, introduced in Spider-Man. So put that on the Spider-Man page. I don't get it. We got Captain America, penciled by Jack Kirby. I couldn't find out who inked it. It's just very obvious it's Kirby. Also not very good. Of course, it could be the inker's fault. Maybe it's a really terrible inker. Maybe it's Dave Hunt. I don't know. But not the best. The Beatles guest star in Strange Tales 130, 1965. Help stamp out booby-trapped drone planes. I think these also get less funny. As the first year was the funniest, 75. And in 76, they started to get corny. And then pretty much, this is just all that like Stan Lee humor where he just says little catchphrases like, "You bet your bippy, Iron Man." Just goofy, stupid shit like that. I like this one. It's Gil Kane. Couldn't find out who inked it. But it looks like to me it could be Joe Sinnott. Look how sharp and tight this inking is. It looks pretty nice. This guy's face right here. Obviously Gil Kane, but it's kind of like tightened up. It's a good one. Thor, and this one is by... Do I know what this one's by? This one I couldn't find out. I would maybe guess John Buscema by the look on Odin's face here. I'm pretty sure this is John Buscema. but I have no idea who the inker is. Either way, it's not that great. I kind of like this one. It's Luke Cage by Ron Wilson pencils, Joe Sinnott inks. You can totally tell Joe Sinnott's like tightening up Ron Wilson. He wasn't the best artist. And, I mean, look how tortured this leg is. It looks like he would have to break his ankle doing this or twist his ankle. But it looks great. Like, Luke Cage looks pretty fucking cool here. So got this, like, swagger. And I guess, you know, the best comic art, I think, doesn't have a strict fidelity to anatomy. It's the energy that counts. And that pose is fucking cool. That's pretty rock star shit. This is interesting that a lot of the birthday photos have people in tri-corner hats, like Revolutionary War hats, obviously left over from the bicentennial issue. Look at this. It's the one thing I wrote in. I didn't write in these because I liked him so much. So I'm surprised I wrote school. I like this one by Gene Colan, Dr. Strange. I don't know who inks it. But I love this, how Nightmare's horse, I guess his nightmare, his pretty much just black and white. And look at this shading here, the scratchy shading. It's such an interesting contrast to the, you know, full bright colors of Doctor Strange here. That's a really great image. Words to Live by Ragador's Seven Rings, by Sitarak's Crimson Bands. Let yon demons feel Valtor's stings, so Doctor Strange commands. That's fucking poetry. It's beautiful. Spider-Man. This is this the one I couldn't find out? Yeah, this I have no idea who it is. I would guess Ross Andrew, Mike Esposito, if I had to. Look at that weird head on Spider-Man there. Not very well done. Look at this, once again, Virgo, keyword service. I work in the service industry. I'm a dishwasher. This is getting creepy, guys. I'm going to have to reevaluate my whole belief system. The Avengers by pencils by George Perez, inks by Joe Sinnott. I wouldn't even know this was Perez if you didn't tell me. But yeah, it's okay. I don't know. It's not as good as he got. He definitely improved a lot. I mean, then again, being inked by Joe Sinnott won't do you any favors when you're a more illustrative artist. It works good for like Ron Wilson. Oh my God, look at Frank Robbins. What a weirdo. Oh, look at Archie Goodwin. What a cutie pie. They say he was just like the sweetest guy. Oh, look, Steve Gerber. I want to celebrate this day, September 20th. We got like a week or so to get ready. October, of course, we have Tomb of Dracula. And this is Gene Colan, obviously. I have no idea who inked it. Maybe it's Tom Palmer. I can't tell. But it's the whole cast. Blade the Vampire Slayer. This is so random. Doc Savage. Longtime friend of Dracula, I guess. So it's P. Craig Russell's birthday on the 31st on Halloween. And the next month we have Conan, penciled by John Buscema and inked by P. Craig Russell. I don't think I've ever seen P. Craig Russell ink John Buscema before. Kind of interesting. It's almost like kind of a loose line he's using. It almost looks like, you know, like if Joe Kubert inked John Buscema or Frank Thorne or something. Because, I mean, sometimes Russell would draw like that. When he started out, it was definitely more loose. I can't see any more good, interesting birthdays. We have some Sumerian wisdom. Oh, I forgot to mention this. So another thing in this one only, there's trivia questions, and they answer them at the end. Wow, talk about lackluster. The Defenders. This is so dull. It's Sal Buscema, of course. Just a very, very boring. Oh, I should show you the month. If there's anything interesting, a little Marie Severin drawing. Hulk trying to get a mistletoe kiss from Valkyrie. That's a dumb idea. More birthdays. This one is kind of interesting. I'm pretty sure these illustrations were done just for this calendar, because look at the signatures. You know, if this was just clip art, it wouldn't have these. So we have a nice drawing of Shang-Chi by Galassi, a nice Killraven by P. Craig Russell, and Herb Trimpe doing Iron Man. They all can't be winners. Here's the answers to the trivia questions. And then we have this little collage on the back. It's kind of funny because this is like all those YouTube podcasters, like geeky podcasters like me. They always have this under the comics they're reviewing, you know, their favorite comics spread out. I never got that. It's very distracting. Of course, I have a messy desk, but at least, I don't know. I don't get that whole having that backdrop. Okay, so now we're going to have to change gears. For the next 3 years, the calendars are all going to focus on one character per year. And they're all kind of based on who has a TV show that year. So in 1978, The Amazing Spider-Man had that shitty TV show on network TV. I think it lasted less than a year. It was, God, even as a kid, I watched them when they came out. I was so starved for anything superhero-ish. I was so excited that it was coming on. And after the first episode, even though I was so ready to like it, I was bored stiff. I was like, oh, this show sucks. I think I kept watching it, though, because I just hoped it would get better. Oh, I'm sorry, I should mention that's John Romita. It's kind of obvious, I guess. It's kind of nice, a little fake Daily Bugle page. Some John Romita black and white art. And this is the first one where the credits are really, you know, up front. This is nice to finally have these credits. I'm glad I wish they all had this. So January is Al Milgrom showing Spider-Man's origin, doing a very bad Steve Ditko impersonation. I guess they probably wanted Steve Ditko, but of course, there's not a chance in hell Steve Ditko would draw Spider-Man for them again for any amount of money. So they got Al Milgrom to try to look like Ditko. And he does a pretty piss poor job. This is so terrible. This crap. And this one gets back to the whole more linear narrative, where this one is really great. This is the one that I just would read in the middle of the year. I'd flip through it and just be like, I'm bored. I'm going to look at my Spider-Man calendar. Because it really does give you a total history of Spider-Man, all in order. They tell you the issue number. They don't do every issue, but, you know, all the major villains, the changes in his life. And, Johnny Romita's birthday. How perfect for Spider-Man. I like this when they announce Robert E. Howard's birthday. Oh, apparently now he's born in 1906. It says, Robert E. Howard had absolutely nothing to do with Spider-Man. Here we have When Spider-Man Met the Fantastic Four by Jack Kirby and John Verpoeten. And once again, this is, you know, the waning career of Jack Kirby. Not the best stuff. Remember what I said about Jack Kirby trying to draw pretty women? Just can't do it. Even though I kind of have a thing for Big Barda. Here's another one of those fun things. Like they take Doug Munch's hippie hair and it turns into Medusa's hair, crushing Spider-Man. I like the way the Vulture's wings are breaking the panel borders. It's kind of fun. It's a nice design element. Oh, I love this one. Look at this. Paul Galassi and Pablo Marcos. And I don't think Paul Galassi ever drew Spider-Man, ever. This looks great. Maybe the villains look great. The Spider-Man's not the best. Look at this very svelte Kingpin. Looks kind of cool. Look at that face. That's right out of Shang-Chi. The ringmaster never looked that cool, ever. All of these are just great versions of the characters. I don't think Paul Gulacy wanted to draw superhero comics, normal superhero comics, but it looks like he would have been great. Now I want to see a Spider-Man drawn by Paul Gulacy. The history continues. Of course, we get tons of nice little Steve Ditko reproductions. I remember I was a little kid. I didn't know a lot of these. I didn't have these reprints, most of them. So this is all new to me. Here's where Peter Parker goes to college. He used to hang out at the Coffee Bean. I guess he was trying to be a beatnik or something. And we see all the civilian characters in his life. This is pretty obvious. It's John Romita. This is inked by John Verpoeten. And, yeah, more history, more birthdays. This is Larry Lieber pencils and Frank Giacoa inks, neither of whom I like. Larry Lieber's terrible. I don't think that guy ever drew a nice comic in his life. But this is him kind of recreating that famous Steve Ditko cover when Peter Parker quits the Spider-Man. And I gotta say, this is kind of nice. It's very emotional, very moody, with the rain coming down. But I think it's just because the Ditko's original design was so good. Kudos, Larry Lieber. Kudos. I love this. Bunch of spazzes. This is John Buscema, inked by Joe Sinnott. And it's pretty bad. This is so dull. Just lifeless crap. George Perez is still cute. You can tell he's getting a little older, though. He's growing up right before our eyes. Oh, here's what Spider-Man was trying to be relevant. This is Gene Colan, inked by Pablo Marcos. Great Gene Colan faces as usual. I love this, how, Marvel's trying to be so... Stan Lee's all like, oh, I'm going to be hard-hitting. It's like, low rent, equal rights for students. Yeah, that was a real pressing concern at the time. The poor press students, the rich college students. Man, I love this. It's just total, everything in order. All the changes in Peter Parker's life and all the villains introduced. Here we have Sal Buscema, inked by John Verpoeten. It seems like John Verpoeten kind of tightens up Sal Buscema a little. It's not bad. It's not good, really, but it's better than most Sal Buscema. We get some more of these nice Maurice Severin drawings. Speaking of which, there's Maurice Severin. Little cutie pie. Oh, this is nice. The Death of Gwen Stacy. Pencils by Gil Kane. Tom Palmer inks. Look at this great inking here. That is some nice stuff. Very Neil Adams-y. I really like this one. Very striking image. See, I like this when they do things like this, breaking up the page a little, getting to have a bigger piece of art. Maurice Severin draws Jim Shooter. He's so tall that his face doesn't fit in the box. There's Freaky Frank Robbins again. Man. Oh, I like this one. It's George Perez, inked by Pablo Marcos. And it's October, so it's all the monstrous Spider-Man villains. But it's so weird. The Punisher's there. Like everyone else looks like a monster. And then it's the Punisher, a dude with a gun. I don't really get that. But this is pretty, I think this is pretty nice looking. Definitely, if you're a superhero fan, this is it's going to hit you where you live. Wait, did I show you the month? I guess it doesn't really matter. Look at Larry Lieber. Kind of looks like a boring Anton LaVey. Okay. So here's Aunt May marrying Doc Ock. Not a wise decision. Once again, Ross Andrew, Mike Esposito. Look at Keith Giffen. I wonder if that's a self-portrait he drew. Look at Bill Mantlo with his fucking Rita Coolidge hair. That's a ridiculous haircut. And this is kind of nice. Look at this. It's a very young John Byrne, penciled by Joe Sinnott. I guess this is a shout out to Marvel Team Up. All the characters, you know, Spider-Man's always teaming up with people. So this is like almost every superhero in the Marvel Universe. Just so many random characters like Omega the Unknown, Moondragon. A lot of Z-list characters on this. But I love it. It's like, even though he's young, he's not at his prime, but he's such a good fanboy artist. You know, he loves superhero comics so much. He just draws everyone pretty damn great. I like this little interesting motif. Look, it's the original X-Men, and then Cyclops is the linchpin leading to the new X-Men up this thing. And pretty good Ghost Rider, even though it's a little off model. Doesn't look exactly like everyone else draws him. But I just love this era. Well, I definitely love it in 2 years. John Byrne gets really good. Actually, in 1 year, he gets really good. But man, if I owned a superhero comic company, I would have just hired John Byrne to draw everything for 4 years, and then I would have fired him after he got crappy. Okay, it was longer than 4 years, but still. So we just have a lot of rando characters in this. And more birthdays. And a message from Stanley, which he probably didn't even write. It's probably ghostwritten. And then we have a back cover by Jazzy John Romita. And a little montage. So next year, 1979, we have the Incredible Hulk. He takes the spotlight because his TV show was doing gangbusters. Look, it even says National TV Star. This cover is by Romita, inked by Sinnott. Very simple, but it kind of effective. I kind of like this. Him crushing the logo, holding it on his shoulders. This is the only one that does this. It has a little mini comic written by David Kraft, art by Herb Trimpe, retelling Hulk's origin. Credits. Oh, guys, get ready. This is one of my favorites. This blows me away every time I look at it. It's Jack Kirby, and it's inked by Joe Sinnott. And I got to give a shout out to the colorist, George Rassos. I'm probably butchering the name. You know, that guy was always coloring shit when I was a kid. Never impressed me. Just very run-of-the-mill, normal colorist. But look at the crazy colors he picks on this. This orange here and this blue. This is just like beautiful modern art to me. Like, this should be on a museum wall. I really love this picture. It's just, it slays me. Just the anger on Hulk's face. It's so amazing. Joe Sinnott's inks are incredible too on it. I can't believe that's never been reprinted. So now we get just like the Spider-Man one. Total History of the Hulk. Hulk #1. Rick Jones shows up. Hulk #2. Pretty fun stuff. Oh, this is nice too. Look at this. Walt Simonson. This is just so dynamic. Look at the energy on this Hulk just like leaping off the page practically. This is when Walt Simonson was drawing the Rampaging Hulk black and white comic. I'm pretty sure he was doing that at the time. Look at Doug Bunch, fucking Manson family member. Look at Joe Duffy. Looks like a Midwestern mom. We have When the Hulk Met the Avengers, and this is by Sal Buscema, but pencils, Dan Atkins inks. Yeah. That's what I gotta say to that. Yeah. This one's really lackluster. This is Dave Cockrum inked by Bob Layton. And usually Dave Cockrum was pretty, I don't know, at this time he drew pretty well, like designed things well. This is just so dull. Look at this horrible face on Betty Brant. And the body language here is just really stiff. And this is just, it reminds me of the art in like a Big Little book. Just that really perfunctory, you know, bargain basement art. I hope I don't sound too negative in this. I definitely do. But, you know, like, there's a reason why I don't own comics like this. Because I don't like them. But, I mean, I love these calendars. I love having them. Definitely for nostalgic value. So I'm not used to having to, like, talk about art this bad. I wouldn't have it in my collection, usually, for the most part. I have some bad art just because the writing's so good. But these comics are just pretty goofy. Oh, this is a nice one. George Perez, inked by Diverse Hands. That was the name that Marvel gave whenever it was like, we got a tight deadline. Get a bunch of inkers. You guys all just ink a panel. You ink this panel, you ink that panel. We got to get it out. So I don't know who Diverse Hands is in this, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Alan Weiss, for at least for one of them. I see a lot of Alan Weiss in this inking. But I think this looks sharp as hell, especially with this kind of psychedelic background. This looks like a blacklight poster, or it would be a really good one. Excuse me. It's interesting as the years go by, Herb Trimpe looks more and more like a zombie from a George Romero movie, from an early George Romero movie. Oh, this is kind of nice. So I'm not a big fan of John Buscema, you know, so sue me. I'm always a little bored by his art, except for a handful of stuff. But this is John Buscema inked by Joe Rubinstein. And Joe Rubinstein makes a world of difference. I think that's a great Hulk. Just looks great to me. This all looks good. Man, Joe Rubinstein, he was such a good inker. Like so many artists, like he was their best inker. Mike Golden, Mike Nasser, you know, every time he'd team up with an artist who was like, yep, that's the best that penciler ever looked. Oh, I forgot to see if there's any interesting things on this page. Oh, look, it's Frank Thorne. Crazy wizard. This is kind of fun. It's Ron Wilson, inked by Pablo Marcos. And I mean, look, it's just so simple, but I mean, God. Every inner child is like jumping up for joy seeing this stuff. It's very classic, fun stuff. Thing versus the Hulk. This is all of the Hulk's foes. And this one, I can't remember who did this one. Let me check on the contents. Oh, this is a Keith Pollard and Tom Palmer. I think that makes the world of difference having Tom Palmer ink this. Keith Pollard wasn't very good. He was just very, once again, perfunctory. If you wanted a superhero comic drawn that looked kind of slick. But I love this position, actually. This body language here, that looks pretty cool. Very exaggerated. And then we have Herb Trimpe. And a very different style. Look how thin the lines are, kind of wispy. Usually Herb Trimpe has such solid, chunky inks, you know? So, I still don't like it very much, but it's interesting to see Herb Trimpe draw it differently. Look at Jim Shooter. He almost looks like a sweet young man. You can still see the evil in his eyes, though. I think he's just about taken over. He's editor-in-chief now. So he's, oh no, wait, is he? I think he'd be more prominent in here. I don't know. I love this villain, Cyclop. He looks like some Gary Panter design. I think he's here. I forgot to point him out. I just saw him the other day. I can't remember where, and I was like, who is that character? Such a weird, cool design. It's almost like he'd be on Hey Gabba Gabba. I also forgot to point out, look at colors Janice Cohen. She looks like she's 12 or 13. I don't know how she got a job at Marvel. It's like a sweatshop there. Oh, there's Terry Austin. Okay, let's get back to where we were. There's Steve Gerber again. And here we have, this one says John Romita, Sal Buscema, and Dave Hunt. My theory is that Sal Buscema drew the Hulk, John Romita drew this Spider-Man, and then Dave Hunting the whole thing. Either way, it's not very good. I've told you about how I feel about Dave Hunt. I think he's one of the worst inkers of all time. Hulk makes the cover of the Rolling Stone. There's Larry Lieber again, looking a little Anton LaVey-ish. Oh, this one's beautiful. Look at the difference a year makes. Well, also having Terry Austin ink you as opposed to Joe Sinnott. So Byrne and Austin are probably drawing the new X-Men at this point. And, you know, they're the Team Extreme. And I love this. Nobody draws the Hulk like Byrne. That's kind of troglodyte-ish. Kind of like it, though. But yeah, this is the period, like pretty much from here on in for a few years, just Byrne could do no wrong as far as superhero art. Just the consummate superhero artist, I think. Look at Roger Slipper. Fucking sleazy hippie. And we have the Defenders for Christmas. Ed Hannigan pencils, Klaus Janson inks. Both usually do much better than this. This looks like they didn't have much time. And they cobbled this together. Not very impressed. There's Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk. And we have more birthdays. Plus, we get this goofy little Joy of the Hulk by Walt Simonson. And then we have a speech from Stan Lee. Hi, this is Stan Lee. My friends used to love making fun of that Stan Lee voice from the Hulk cartoon. Hi, this is Stan Lee. Okay, so the third character-oriented one, what? Doctor Strange? Well, this is because in 1979, probably 1980, there was a Doctor Strange pilot who was like a TV movie. And, you know, they hoped it would be a series, totally bombed. I don't think they ever showed it again. And you could only find it on bootlegs for years. I don't know if they ever put it out, actually. Maybe you still can't find it for reals. But they had high hopes for it. So they figured, ooh, it's Doctor Strange's year. We got to make the calendar. Really like this cover. It's Dave Cockrum, inked by Tom Palmer. Definitely Tom Palmer is the star of this cover. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Palmer colored this as well, because he's a great colorist. This is very lush, nice coloring. Different than any of the other coloring in most of the calendar. But just, this looks pretty nice to me. Here we have the credits. Kind of cute. They put it in, you know, Doctor Strange's window. And a nice little weird drawing of Stan Lee by Peter Ledger. You might remember him from Epic Illustrated. Pretty talented artist. Another message from Stan Lee. Okay, so once again, they can't get Steve Ditko. He's not going to draw Doctor Strange either. So they got Al Milgrom to be in Earthsat's Ditko this time. Or again. But I got to say, I really like this one. It's pretty clunky. But sometimes Steve Ditko was pretty clunky. And just great composition. I just love this kind of weird inking. It's so weird. So much of this totally looks like Lee Mars to me. That underground / science fiction cartoonist. Even actually this figure does. But I don't know. I just like this one so much more than that other Al Milgrom piece in the Spider-Man calendar. Man, Klaus Janson's got an interesting face. Oh my God, not as interesting as Patty Cockrum, though. Little gremlin. Oh, this one's interesting. It's Bill Sienkiewicz, inked by Joe Rubinstein. And this is back when, he was doing Moon Knight, totally drawing in that Neil Adams style. But man, Joe Rubinstein really tightens him up. Really, it looks even more Neil Adamsy. But you can almost see hints of what Bill Sienkiewicz would become, even though it's years down the road. But this looks kind of like cool and abstract and weird. This little hand coming up out of nowhere. So it's kind of interesting, just the perfect Stan Drake, Neil Adams lineage of just realistic drawing. But Bill Sienkiewicz is thinking about other things. All in all, it's great. A great little piece. And once again, we're just getting everything about Doctor Strange from the beginning to the end. I love this one just because I love Pat Broderick, or I should say I did love Pat Broderick when I was a kid. It's inked by Bob Layton. I collected everything by Pat Broderick. Even if he did a cover for some shitty comic that I didn't like, I'd buy it because I wanted everything by Pat Broderick. But I love this, how he's totally going crazy on that psychedelic Ditko dimension stuff. Look at all this. This is dense. So much crazy goodness going on here. You got some of those guys. What do they call it? The nameless ones? But for some reason, the Dormammu looks fucking emaciated. He needs to eat a sandwich. Look at him. He's so scrawny. But I think this just looks so good to me. The colors are great. I love it. So sad. Just a few years after this, Pat Broderick would be terrible. He really went from one of my favorite artists, and then he just, I don't know, something happened to his style really quickly that was really just not good. This is a nice one. It's Gene Colan, inked by Tom Palmer. Once again, I'm pretty sure Tom Palmer colored this. Look how different the coloring looks. It almost looks like there's some airbrush shit going on, even though I'm pretty sure Tom Palmer doesn't use an airbrush. Look at this planets in here. That's beautiful. Really gorgeous inside of Eternity here. Even just the colors of his cape are very lush. I really like this one. I guess Doctor Strange got a shout out in Esquire magazine in 1966. And I love the crazy hairstyles that Ditko would give Clea. They're just crazy. But strangely enough, even though they're zany as hell, they're kind of hot. I think if I ever met a girl with Clea's hair, I'd be totally just ooh. Back when I was in the game, I would have totally hit on her. Here's Mike Zeck, a very young Mike Zeck, doing some fun Ditko stuff too. Not nearly as good as Pat Broderick, I don't think. This isn't so great. I'm sure in a couple of years he'd draw this all much better. I think he was just starting Shang-Chi at this time. Rudy Nebres did quite a few Doctor Strange issues. This one's kind of weird because we barely see Doctor Strange. We just see these, I don't know, weird Crimson KKK guys. But it's beautifully drawn. Just look at that hand. Rudy Nebres is really good. But he didn't really do much. Well, he just kind of did weird peripheral stuff at Marvel. I think he just didn't like drawing superheroes. That's a kind of interesting thing about Doctor Strange. He's not really a superhero, so a lot of artists who normally don't like to draw superheroes, they gravitate towards them. And I noticed in these panel reproductions, there's so much great art. Doctor Strange just had a string of amazing artists. Frank Brunner, Gene Colan, obviously Steve Ditko, Dan Adkins, Maurice Severin. There just seemed to be a cut above your average Marvel comic. Almost all the artists are top-notch. This is George Perez, inked by Bob Wyacek. He's hanging out with the Avengers. This is when Doctor Strange, they were trying to make him more superhero-y. Or superhero-ish. Kind of good. Kind of fun. Doctor Strange and his Defender buddies. Keith Pollard, inked by Joe Sinnott. I kind of like this composition. I mean, it's just very simple. But just the three of them all leaping out at you. so weird. A picture of Maurice Severin pointing a gun at us, straight at the reader. And she's saying, how about a Doctor Strange pork calendar? Which I don't even know what the hell that means. Do you guys get that reference? I don't know. Yeah, this is a really weird one. Ernie Colon, who, did Richie Rich for like 25 years, but he also would do like crazy violent undergrounds very realistically. It looks like he's doing the very cartoony style. Look at these dinosaurs, very cartoony. You know what's interesting when I was looking through these before doing the video is I realized so many of these I didn't recognize at all. Because, every year I change the calendar. So I kind of rotate through them over the decades. I've been like, oh, it's the Hulk's year or 1975. And then all of these look new to me. I didn't recognize most of them except for the first two. And I realized because it's 1980, a leap year. So after February, I have to find another calendar because the days don't match up anymore. But this one I totally was like, what? Ernie Cologne? That's weird. Kind of goofy looking, actually. Doesn't really fit Doctor Strange, the style. Here's Walt Simonson. Little happy pants. Here's Jim Shooter getting a little older. Looking a little more insidious. This is a nice one. John Byrne and Terry Austin once again. I love this. This kind of Art Nouveau border. I think they're trying to, that's like a Frank Brunner thing. This looks pretty nice to me, but to be honest, I wouldn't even guess this was John Byrne. It looks good, but it doesn't necessarily look like Byrne to me. And this is strange, because that was October, and now November, you'd think this would be the Halloween one for October. Tomb of Dracula fighting Doctor Strange. This is Gene Colan and Tom Palmer. Pretty nice. Oh, look at this Tom Sutton. This is just so crazy looking at me. Look at the hand of this guy, the in-betweener here. Foreshortening. But it looks like his hand's humongous. I love this weird little vortex here, too. It's almost like a P. Craig Russell thing. It's just so crazy. Tom Sutton, once again, another artist who doesn't like to do superheroes, but he did Doctor Strange, a lot of Doctor Stranges. Because, Doctor Strange is a different thing. You get to draw more interesting stuff. You don't have to just draw guys in tights. Yeah, most of these panels look so great to me. It makes me want to read more Doctor Strange. I have 25 issues of Doctor Strange probably, but I want more now. More birthdays is kind of nice. They give everyone a picture now. And here's the birthdays continuing. And guys, get ready for this. A little treat at the end. Frank Miller and Klaus Janson doing Doctor Strange. This is probably when they just started on Daredevil. And this is fantastic to me. Colors are a little muddled, though. But this is another one of those things where I can't believe they never used this for a cover when Frank Miller was hot shit after Dark Knight Returns. You'd think they'd be like, hey, we own this piece of Frank Miller unseen artwork. Pretty much unseen. That's some nice stuff. Frank Miller was supposed to take over Doctor Strange at one point. There was even ads in comics, like, coming next month. And it had a beautiful drawing of Doctor Strange by Frank Miller. And then something happened. And they just never talked about it again. They didn't say what happened. It's just Frank Miller obviously didn't draw Doctor Strange. So this is 1981, the last calendar. It's the 20th anniversary of Marvel, of the Marvel Universe. Here we get a nice John Byrne cover. I believe it's Terry Austin. And this one's very flimsy compared to the other ones. It's not cardstock anymore. Kind of unfortunate. But it's held up great over the years, so I guess the paper's good. Good enough, We have a little history of Marvel Comics. I'm sure it's very skewed and not really true. And credits. You guys, I'm going to cover this real quick. You're not going to believe who does this. So it's kind of obvious the inker, Joe Sinnott, right? This later era kind of lame Joe Sinnott. But the pencils are by Bill Sienkiewicz. Sorry, Bill Sienkiewicz. And I don't know if you know this, but he drew like 5 issues of the Fantastic Four when he was doing that amazing Neil Adams style Moon Knight. But they had Joe Sinnott ink him and turn it into this. And I think everyone quickly realized how stupid it is to have Bill Sienkiewicz and then cover him up by Joe Sinnott inks. It was just ridiculous. But even the composition, you would never guess is Bill Sienkiewicz. It's just really lame. Not interesting at all. So I kind of like this little format thing they did. All the logos of the month are like aping the superhero that they're honoring. So the world's greatest month, January. That's a perfect duplication of the Fantastic Four font. They're really well done, these logos. And so it's kind of sad. There's no more birthdays for the bullpenners or the artists. I guess Marvel's getting more corporate. Jim Shooter's tightening his grip. But it just seems kind of sad. It's like, that was a nice little thing to have all the, the artists get a shout out and the bullpenners. So now it's just history type stuff, First appearance of Mole Man. This is Spider-Man by John Romita Jr. and Pablo Marcos. You can definitely see the Pablo Marcos adding lots of detail. He was a pretty spiffy inker. Put this back when John Romita Jr. Was basically just trying to draw like his dad. Didn't really have his unique style that he has now. Once again, that's a great logo. The amazing month of February. Oh, guys, get ready. Look at this. Michael Golden doing the Hulk. Pencils and inks. This is just probably the best Hulk drawing ever done. It's so amazing. And just seeing Michael Golden get to ink himself is rare. It's a rare treat. Amazing. Just look at the shading here, the cross-hatching. I mean, it's almost Bertie Wrightson worthy. It's really beautiful. The look on this guy's face. Hulk looks really terrifying. He's not the cuddly Sal Buscema Hulk, God, once again, I can't believe they were just sitting on this for decades. This could have been a fucking poster or something. Basically, if you don't have this calendar, you don't own this art. You'll never see this art, I should say. Thor by Keith Pollard and Bob McLeod. Not so great, kind of boring. This is nice. John Byrne and Terry Austin in their heyday doing the Uncanny X-Men, which basically led to their heyday. Just John Byrne drawing perfect renditions of these characters. It's a great Storm, great Angel, great Wolverine. That's what he did back then. That's pretty fun. Not the best composition, but nice superhero art. Oh, speaking of heydays, then we got Miller Jansen on Daredevil. Obviously young Frank Miller. Daredevil actually looks happy-go-lucky before Frank Miller turned him into a noir hero, basically. Very Steve Ditko, Gil Kane stuff going on here. And look at this interesting Klaus Janson inks for this building. I don't know what you call that. It's almost like, not stippling, but it's like, I don't know, some kind of shading on it. Almost like makes it granular looking. June, the month without fear. I find them so charming. Here's Captain America by, shit, I forgot who this is. Let me check. Ron Wilson and Joseph Rubinstein. And look, it's probably some of the best Ron Wilson because Joe Rubinstein inked it. It looks a lot better than Ron Wilson usually looks. Of course, it's July for 4th of July. Here's George Perez, inked by Gene Day. And it's pretty nice. But I gotta say, George Perez got a lot better. I loved, this Avengers era. And I thought George Perez was one of the best superhero artists ever. But it's kind of weird when you notice, like, George Perez still couldn't really draw a normal person. Look how crappy that face is on Jarvis and Black Widow. Kind of, like, amateurish. Even though these masked heroes look cool as hell, Yellow Jacket, Hawkeye. But he just wasn't very good at just drawing normal people. Because I think he was a total fanboy who just learned how to draw comics from looking at superhero comics and drawing superheroes. Still love these Byrne heads that were in the corner for years after Byrne left because they were so good. Earth's Mightiest Month. Once again, speaking of heydays, this was the era of John Romita Jr. and Bob Layton and Dave Michelini on the Hulk. This is, I'm sorry, on the Hulk, on Iron Man. This is all Bob Layton. Hey, you know, Bob Layton is very slick. That's basically Bob Layton's whole thing, was being just a slick artist. Pretty nice. I wouldn't kick it out of my eyes. And so for October, we have this collage by Patty Cockrum. And it looks like she just made this kind of interesting collage. At first I was like, did she like just mimic all these styles? But then like, that's totally Colin, Tomb of Dracula. And as far as I know, Patty Cockrum can't really draw. So I really doubt she is that facile at copying all these artistic styles. Silver Surfer, John Buscema pencils, Sal Buscema inks. It's a family affair. And I just wish she was drawn better. I don't think this is very good. Look at this sloppy inking. I think he was trying to do the metallic effect. It doesn't really come off. Not very good. And then for December, we just have a melange of various weird Marvel characters. B-listers, C-listers. And it's by Rudy Nebres, which is weird because he wasn't a superhero guy for the most part. But he was great at drawing women, so that's a great She-Hulk, I think. I love this Spider-Woman. And the Valkyrie's great. But look how terrible this Howard the Duck is. I'm so surprised they didn't redraw that. That's pretty bad. But there's some really obscure characters here. Moon Knight was just starting to get, you know, great under Sienkiewicz. He was a rising star. Kind of nice, though. Most of these are nice. But just that Howard the Duck right in the front, just really is like a turd in a punch bowl. Welcome to the Marvel Universe. They got some Dominic Fortune in here. The Dazzler. And then we have memorable moments from the Marvel Age. And we see the Thing and Human Torch and Beatles wigs. Apparently, the writer Tom Wolfe appeared in two different Marvel comics. One would be weird enough. Here we see Richard Nixon appearing in the Hulk. And that's it. Kind of like this nice graphic design, very clean. So there you go, guys. Sorry it took so long, but there's a lot to look at in these. And I know these weren't comic books per se, but every now and then I just like to, I don't know, just have a fun one. Just look at some comics related things. These are very comics related, right? They're all comic artists, even though it's not comics. But hope you enjoyed watching it, and I hope to see you next time here at the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.